You're listening to the Bold Dreams Held Loosely podcast with me, Taryn Watts, and my dear friend and colleague, Michelle Theriault. At the Mind Rebel Academy, we're home to the revolutionary Mind Rebel method, a transformative approach to unlocking your inner wisdom and living in alignment, changing how people connect, serve, lead, and thrive in their lives. This podcast is where we celebrate the beauty of dreaming boldly, embracing big, inspiring visions for our lives, while holding them gently with curiosity, trust, and a heart open to the magic of the unexpected. So get cozy, settle in, and as always, take what resonates and gently leave the rest. Enjoy the conversation.
The desire for this conversation sort of snuck up on me, and I really want us to talk about vocation, the entire realm of vocation. We've been in a little bubble, a little cave of exploring vocation, and it feels like we've been through so much. It feels like we've been through like these crazy highs and these crazy lows and transformation, and I really want us to stop and reflect and almost maybe even honor a little bit what we've been through, what we've learned.
Yeah, we had to take a pause from podcasting because we have been in this cave of creation and we've been diving so deep into all of the different layers and aspects of vocation. So it started with you having like a bit of a breakdown. It was so funny. We were at such different phases. You know, I was at a phase of, I want no change in vocation. I want absolutely nothing to change, no new strategies, no nothing. Please, everything stay exactly as it is. Do not grow, do not change. I just wanted more peace and harmony inside of myself. And I just thought the only way I can get that is if nothing outside of me changes, if everything just stays exactly as it is. That wasn't coming from a place of everything's perfect. I don't want anything else to change. Like everything's perfect. It wasn't coming from that place. It was just coming from, yes, would I want things to be different? Yes. Would I want to be experiencing things differently in vocation? Yes. But like, I'm just so tired. I'm tired. And I just like everything just stay put. So I can just find my peace here within me without anything externally needing to change. That's the state I was in. And meanwhile, you are having an actual breakdown. So, Michelle, why don't you share a little bit about what was going through you during that time?
Yeah, it's funny. You said you wanting everything to stay the same was coming from I'm tired. And it's funny because the same thing was true for me, was like, oh, I am tired. But I was tired of continuing in the same way. Like that was tiring me. There's some sort of effort it takes to continue down a path when it's not feeling natural or aligned. Like that takes a certain effort, that takes a certain amount of energy, and it starts taking more and more energy to continue. And I think I was feeling that tiredness of like, oh, I don't have it in me. Like, I don't think I can muster up the energy. So it was like a breakdown from being tired. You know how when you have a lot of energy, you can kind of like suck it up over here a little and keep going, or compromise over here and keep going. And it's not a big deal. But if you keep going long enough down that road, if you travel far enough through the bushes, eventually it's like, well, if I stop and die here, so be it, because I don't think I can keep hacking away. That's what I was feeling. I don't think I can do it. Even if I have to, I don't think I could do it. I don't think I can keep going. And I knew something dramatic needed to shift. I knew that what needed to shift was moving from feeling like I'm exerting so much effort to move myself forward. I know that needs to shift to something that feels natural and easy and joyful. But I didn't know the details. I had clues, like, I like doing this, I hate doing that. But it was just a big fog. I just knew, like, I want to shift the whole path from something that feels like an uphill hike to something that feels like prancing through the forest. which is not a lot to go on. And I think I think back now and I think back what I was probably telling you, it was probably as vague as that. Like, I just want everything to change. I want my job to change. I want like all of these things. I want the whole trajectory of vocation to change. I don't want it to change from this feeling to that feeling. Gosh, did I ever feel conviction behind it? Like, I remember a moment. It was in December because I know it was before January. I know it was still 2023, and I was walking in the woods and I was looking at the moon, and I remember the intensity of my inward pleas to the moon and like my declaration of, this is the year it changes. It must change. I will change regardless. Like, I will be brave. This is the year this changes. And so even though I didn't have the details, I felt such deep conviction.
I think your body has always been like hypersensitive to anything that no longer feels aligned to you. You're more tuned into that than anyone else I know. Really, like truly. And I think it's also because like you would actually just not do it over compromising yourself. Like period. You know, it was like fearlessly. You just like, no, I don't know how. I don't know what, I don't know, how it's all going to work out, but I can't do this thing anymore. Whereas for me, I can know, oh, something's not feeling as aligned anymore. And I can feel that inside, but I can very easily muster through, keep going, keep moving forward. Like I can do that very, very easily. And so I think we were both kind of feeling a lot of the same things, but having just very different, what looked like polarizing opposite reactions to what was happening inside of both of us, which was interesting. And I just remember listening to you, and I trust your intuition so much. And I trust your sense of your intuition so much. And I just remember listening to you, and truthfully, like some of the things you were expressing and saying, I was like, well, I don't know. Okay. Like, you were saying things like, the things you love to do, or like you love to have these podcast conversations. You love this expression. And I was like, I don't know if I don't know if that's a job. I don't know. I don't know if that's possible to be like an actual paying job here. But I don't know. I just trusted what you were sensing, even though I couldn't see the picture. I couldn't fathom what this would all look like in complete alignment with what you were wanting. In fact, I even said to you, I'm not sure if the MRA can give you what you're looking for. I'm not sure if it's here. And we even explored that. We explored like, what does that mean? And this was all coming at what felt like around the exact same time where we were creating a new program for our students, which was originally going to be about building a soul-led business. The original idea around it was, okay, we take our students through such a comprehensive, such a holistic, deep journey inward in coach training. And then in part 2, they get to learn these incredible skills and become exceptional coaches. And what we were hearing from them time and time again from our alumni is they want, like, now what? How do I build a business with this? Like, now what? And we had so many students asking us for business mentorship. I've always been pretty firm on that. Like, that's not our wheelhouse. I don't love that topic. I really don't. I find business practices, they're constantly changing. I can't keep up. Half of the mentorship I've received out in the industry, I do the opposite. But we kept hearing it. We kept hearing it. We kept hearing it. So we said, okay, we're going to create a program. It's going to be different than your traditional business mentorship programs. It's going to be all about how to build like a real soul-led business, how to let the part of you inside, like the wisest part of you, guide the way and like show you the way forward using the Mind Rebel methodology and principles that we teach in the Mind Rebel Academy. That was the intention. And I feel like, Michelle, when these ideas first came up, you weren't even going to be really part of this program. You had no desire to pour into this program, right?
Yeah, I remember, I think I would describe it more like everything the MRA does, everything that's being created. There's a part of me that sort of wants to always be a part of it just because I love working with you. I love creating with you. I love everything we do. And so there's this little piece of like, part of me wants to be a part of that. But I couldn't feel in its like original iteration and framing, I almost like couldn't feel enough room for me to fully be, because so much of what I want and what I need and is supportive to me is so much freedom of possibility. Like you said, I do the opposite of a lot of what business mentors say or what the latest advice is from whoever. I feel like I need that to an extreme. I need such a blank slate to feel what I want to do and how I want to use my skills. I just hate the feeling of being boxed in, not only by, say, oh gosh, it's like sometimes people will say like, oh, instead of using emails this way, I want to break out of the box and use them this way. And I am like, oh, God, no. I want the freedom to never consider an email. I just want ultimate freedom. And also, even in the basic way that people consider a business or how you make your money, I wanted to feel the room for all of my weird little truths to have space and come to the surface, like an exploration of how to build a soul-led business. Even that, it sounds so beautiful and it's like so expansive. There is like a part of me of, I don't even know if I want to build a business though, or like I don't know if I even want to live in that framework. Yeah, so there was a part of me that's like, oh, I don't know if I have anything to contribute to that. I don't see how I would be valuable, because so much of what people want when they want to start a business, I don't know if I have anything to contribute, I'm drawn to it, but I don't see my place in it.
I'm trying to recall like when we made the switch.
I don't know that it was one moment. I remember a series of conversations, of like every conversation we had. I remember the feeling of you peeling back layers of what you really want to offer, what you felt really strong in. And it always kept coming back to like, what do we do here in the Mind Rebel Academy? We hold space for people to find their own truth. We teach people how to do that for others. We are such a stand for that. We believe in that. We don't doubt when we're sharing about that, holding space for that, teaching about that. We never doubt it. It feels so good to us. And I think you were just exploring the places of, but how do I teach a way to do things? And like, how do I make sure that's right? I'm still figuring it out, and I think there was just the series of conversations that kept leading us back to, if we're going to teach something or share something, it better be coming from like the deepest place in us that we can stand behind. And this is what we can stand behind. We stand so firmly in the belief that everyone is whole, capable, creative, resourceful, and there are different paths for everyone. And each person, each individual is the best equipped to discern that path. Like we stand for that. And the closer you got to that, the more I could see myself, the more excited I got, the more I was like, oh yeah, I can do that with you. That's what I want. That is what I was most deeply craving, without a doubt. That's a place I can always find myself and see myself. And in that energy, oh, it feels so expansive because there's all of the room for me. And then that means there's all of the room for everyone. And that feels so good. There's no walls, there's no limits, there's no boxes. There's just, I get to really discover myself in that space. And that, yeah, I don't think that happened in one conversation. I think it was a series of conversations.
Yeah, we really took ourselves through the process or the journey, the discovery that we wanted to go through ourselves, like deeply wanted to like move ourselves through. To get to some other side, to get to some piece of clarity.
Is there anything else you remember about that? Like I remember the feeling of having those conversations with you, but is there anything else you remember about the process of getting clear on, oh, this is what we want to create. This is what we want to explore. This is what we want to offer.
I think with any creation, I think it would have been easy for me to create what people were asking me to create. Using the things I've learned so much. There's been so many wonderful business mentors and experts and advice that I've received. And some wonderful, some horrible. And I love building business. I love business. I love entrepreneurship. It drives me absolutely mad sometimes, but I'd have it no other way. I love it. I love it. I love the openness of it. I love the creativity in it. I love it. But it would have been easy to create something that people were asking me to create and just respond to my audience to say, yep, okay, this is what they want. I'm going to create something. But that would have been all like creating from my head, creating from what I know. It's just like a different realm of creation. This felt different. When I think about that, there's no real power or energy behind that. There's no like passion, excitement, Whereas with this, the Vocation Incubator, like this was actually for us first. And this was this really unknown, co-creative, what's going to come next, no blueprint, no roadmap. And it really, really felt like a creation that was born from like something deeper inside of us.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the most fun I've ever had creating.
Oh, me
You
too.
know?
Yeah. I didn't know exactly what the yearning was at the time, but I think the first time I was really feeling the yearning for this exploration, or I could feel it bubbling, was like a couple years ago. And I've told the story before about signing up for a coaching program that I was like so excited about and thought it was going to be great. And I got into it and I was like, oh, this isn't
A
coaching.
business coaching program, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought, yeah, I was just feeling this like, okay, like what's next for me? How am I going to express? Like, I was feeling the, desire for something. And it was such a disappointment. And I was so disheartened. And then I was like, wah, wah, okay. I just went back to status quo for a while until, this built up like we described. And it's really, really true. Like my attempt to go find what I was yearning for out in the world in another program, that was such a failure. And, I'm sure there's some, wonderful programs I would have loved, but I tried to look for what I wanted out in the world. It wasn't there. And it was sort of like a bit of a lesson of like, don't go look out in the world. Sometimes you find supports that you need, but like, don't look outside of you for the things that you need to find in you first. And I really feel like that's what this was. Even the exploration of putting our finger on, oh, this is the exploration we want to go on. That was so empowering for me. That was so exciting. I think that's why creating the whole exploration was also the most fun I've ever had. Feels so good to scratch the part that's itchy. It feels so good to give yourself the food you're craving. And it was just, I think I was almost on a high of realizing this is the exploration I want to have, and then creating it with you. It was the best feeling. It was the best feeling in the entire world. Before we keep going, there's this little thought that I always have that I just want to ask you about. When I think back to you were in this place of, yeah, maybe everything wasn't perfect, but you were pretty darn surrendered. I even remember I was Voxering you, and you might have been in Costa Rica with your family, and you were just like almost
I
like
know.
oozing with peace and surrender. You were so happy. You were so good. It's like, I don't want for anything. And I sometimes would think back to that moment and I think about all the disruption I caused by being like, Taryn, I feel this. And then you being like, okay, I trust you. I don't know where we're going, but like, I trust you. And I think about the influence that my energy had and the way it pulled you out of that like serene place. And every once in a while, I think like, if there was another timeline, like, would you have preferred that other timeline? Like, I don't know. What would have happened if I didn't so intensely push this into our space? Do you ever wonder about what that other timeline would have been like? Do you ever think, Michelle, I don't like where you influenced this path? What comes up for you when you think about that?
Oh, that's hilarious. I've thought about, not exactly from that lens, but I've thought about that time. I don't know what was going on inside of me. I don't know how I accessed the type of serenity and peace that I had accessed at that time. I'm not sure if I was like on a meditation kick, or I think I was doing a lot of journaling, gratitude practices, and I was just, oh, it was glorious. And I haven't been able to hold that energy and perspective for long periods of time since. I've often wondered, but here's what I know to be true. I actually think, had I not been in that state of gratitude, openness, flowing through life, in just like such a blissful, open state, had I not been in that state, I actually might not have been open to what you were expressing to me. I really believe this, like from a universal perspective, that we were meant to grow in this direction. Change was meant to happen. There were many things like status quo in vocation at that time, things that I had outgrown, activities I had outgrown, things that were really not in alignment anymore. And continuing to do that was not a sustainable option. Even though I was in an open, blissful state, continuing to operate in the way that I was operating was not a sustainable option. I was tired. Mm-hmm. And entrepreneurship was beating me down a little. Like, I was tired. I was really tired. Had I not been so open, I think I would have missed this call to adventure that you were inviting me on, because saying yes to the adventure felt completely right. It was like, okay, let's explore this. Part of my vision is that the MRA is around for a really long time. Words like longevity and sustainability, all those words are so important to me in my vocation vision. This disruption of the last year of like turning inward, looking at every little corner, looking at every piece of vocation that is no longer aligned, no longer serving, no longer what I want, and like naming it, claiming it, then contemplating, well, if not that, then what? That's the exploration we've been on. This was absolutely necessary to get to where it is that we're going in each of our vocation visions. And for me, again, longevity. I want the MRA to be around after I die. Like, I want it to be around for a very long time. Operating how I had been operating, even though I was surrendered in my life and I was happy, that's not sustainable. There's no longevity in that. It truly would have ended at some point. Yeah. Like the universe would have taken me into a different direction. That's how I see it.
I'm really excited for the moment that you get to come back to a place of like, that surrender again.
Yeah, me too. In the new reality, right?
In the new reality, and like a place of like alignment. Because gosh, has this ever been an adventure? And for me, it's felt so undeniably right and satisfying. Like there's some magnet in me pulling me towards this like this truth that wants to be uncovered in this deeper alignment. It's so strong and it's like undeniable. And gosh, has this ever stirred up a lot of challenges for us, like inside of ourselves, personally, emotionally, in the MRA? It's stirred up a lot. It's been so challenging. And yeah, I'm so looking forward to the place for me also, but for you, for some reason that hangs in my mind is like, I called you out of this place of so much surrender. And I have to believe that you're going to get there, like again, in this new reality. That is this little piece that always kind of goes, oh, I hope I didn't ruin it for her.
No, of course not. And like, that's on me to get back,
Yeah.
And I know that state is accessible. We've been through so much change and made such brave choices, and like we're in this like wormhole of change, and some of the moments have been, holy moly, like it's so expansive, and like the possibility of the biggest, boldest, most breathtaking vision we could hold for vocation has been defined through this process. And we can see it, we can taste it, we can feel it. Every ounce of it is like clean, clear, focused, and impassioned. It's like so aligned. And there are moments on this journey when I felt just like so expanded to the possibility of that reality. Like I can feel myself in that reality. And then there are moments of the contraction. It's like that birthing process of contraction and expansion. And that is the path of the hero's journey when enormous change is happening. And I know we are reintegrating back. Like, I know we're coming back around that hero's journey. We're like stepping back into the ordinary world. We're reintegrating. I can feel that. And for me, my next step, my next growing edge is I want to get that feeling back. I want to get that that peace, that serenity, that gratitude, that openness, that unattachment. I think that's the fine dance, isn't it? I mean, that is the name of this podcast, Bold
Mm,
Dreams Held Loosely.
yeah.
And it's like the challenge of my life because I dream. I can't help it. I have dreams. I have since I was little, and I can taste them. I can see them. I can envision them. I will not stop until they're here. Like, I'm so passionate about the dreams I have. And that whole process of, like, walking the path towards that dream can be filled with chaos and challenges and contractions and expansions and a whirlwind of emotions. And so, my great work of this lifetime is to have both, is to dream boldly and surrender and hold it loosely. That's the work I'm here to do. And it's probably going to take me this lifetime and probably several others to really master it. But yeah, that's it.
Mm-hmm. This like new vision that came into focus through the explorations we've been on. When you think about your new dream, the new clarity, the new vision, what are the new pieces that you're dreaming about? Like, what are your favorite, most precious little visions that you're walking towards?
The first thing that's coming to mind, it's funny when you ask me that, I can play the scene of my vision across like the back of my eyes, like a movie. I can see it, I can feel it. It actually doesn't feel that much different than where I am today, truthfully. But like, I am different. That's what feels most tangible. I am different. The way I see the world is changed from where I used to be. The unwavering confidence I hold inside of me for more and more minutes of the day is different than what it used to be. The way I speak, the way I express, the way I write, the decisions I make, the choices I make, the balance I have in my life, the spaciousness I have in my calendar, the way every piece of the Mind Rebel Academy, when I touch every corner of it, from our curriculum to our programs to our cash flow to the people who work with us, to our students, to the way we support our students, to the boundaries we have, to our communication policies, to like everything from like A to Z. Everything holds an energy of alignment. It feels clean, it feels clear, it feels focused, it feels impassioned. Those are like the four, energetic principles. The house is clean. Does that make
Mm.
sense?
Oh, yeah.
And where I was before was I was wearing so many hats, doing so many things that there were all these little areas that were not clean, that were messy, that were disjointed, that were chaotic, that were reactionary. And that in and of itself, that constricts the flow of abundance, of prosperity, of success. This whole program, like everything we believe in, is that your truest and your most honest alignment and truth is the portal to your most fulfilling success. And so what has to come first is this orientation inward to like sift through all the layers inside of yourself. Like, there was a point when we first started the Vocation Incubator. I think it was before we started recording. We were starting to plan for it. And again, I was in such a state of openness, hearing you, what was stirring up inside of you. And I think my motivation at that time, in the very, very early stages, were okay, well, let's see if we can create a role for Michelle so that Michelle can fully self express here.
Mm.
We've done it before. The MRA was a place, a home for you to fully self-express yourself. And now you've outgrown the role you were in. And now you're looking for your next level of self-expression. Can the MRA hold that for you? Can it be your container? Can it be your outlet? And I remember thinking, let's find that for you. Like, let's go on this exploration and like, let's find to see what that is for you. And I remember saying to you, oh, that might be true for you. We might be able to find you an outlet here for full self-expression. But I actually don't think that's truly possible for me, because like as an entrepreneur, I have all these hats to wear and I have all these things to do. Like I don't think I could ever really find the pure peace, harmony, joy, alignment, serenity inside of me, mind, body, and soul that I so desperately want to experience in vocation as an entrepreneur. That's not possible for me here, but it's possible for you. So let's just like find this for you. And that's kind of where my mind was at. And then you were like, but no, do we have to find this for you too? And I think that was like a wake up moment for me to think, well, what if this is possible for me? I couldn't conceive of what that could look like because I'd only ever really experienced the ups and the lows and I only had one paradigm of running a business and like what that was like. Parts of it I love, parts of it, oh gosh, like I hate, you know? And now this has been an invitation to redefine what it is I want and really how do I want to experience this? What do I want to create? If it is true that my truest alignment is actually the portal to my most fulfilling success, if that is true, then like let's go all in and test this theory out. I am 1,000,000% in. There's not even like a tippy toe in the old world. It's gone. And it's interesting because I know that that theory or that statement is true in other areas of my life. I know that my alignment is the portal to experiencing the greatest love in my marriage. I know that my alignment is the portal to experiencing the most fulfilling experience of motherhood I could possibly experience in that realm of, you know, parenting. Like I know that this is true in every other area, but like could this really be true in vocation? This is like, you know, this like slice of life that occupies 80% of my mind space is vocation in this season of my life. Could this be true? And that's the great experiment we've been on.
Yeah, we are. We're in the experiment right now still. I remember the feeling of you expressing several times, I just don't know. I think it's possible for you, Michelle, but I just don't know if it's possible for me here. And I remember the feeling in my body of like, oh no, this will not do. This will not do because I think I came from a very similar place of like, I know my alignment is the key to all happiness, magic, success in these other areas because I have proof. Like I've seen the way my alignment brings the most beautiful, wonderful, fulfilling, easy, glorious relationships in terms of friends, family, romantic relationship. You know, my gosh, if you look at the wheel of life, like all the other places, it's so evident to me that it's true. I've experienced it and I don't have doubts. And I was the same as you, but vocation, doing work and making money and being fulfilled. It felt so impossible that there was actual alignment and happiness and success there for me that a good portion of me didn't even want to look there. It was like, oh, I just would rather like that not have to exist. Can't I just win the lottery so I don't have to think about work and vocation and, you know? And so because I felt that way, there were so many doubts ready to be triggered about why it maybe wasn't true for me, why I couldn't have what I wanted. And it felt like as long as you hung on to doubts why it might not be possible for you, it was so hard for me to fully believe that it was possible for me. I was like, oh, I, I really felt like, I don't know if I can believe this on my own. And I don't think it's really true. We need other people to, you know, believe. But it was so hard for me to believe in this fully on my own. And it felt like as long as you thought, well, there's exceptions to this rule, it's not true here or here, it was so scary and risky to ignore all of my doubts or, you know, step through all of my doubts that said, oh yeah, but you can't have this. That's too extreme. You're asking too much. That's ridiculous. You're in a fantasy land. And so I just remember feeling like I don't want to do this on my own for the first time. Like I want a partner to be in this experiment with. You know, I wanted it so bad. And in theory, my mind knows. But gosh, when you're faced with your own deepest fears and doubts about why maybe you can't have what you want or like what your heart wants or what's really aligned for you, it's just not what you can have in this life. When you feel those, oh, When I feel those, they are so compelling. They're so hard to step bravely through and decide to experiment anyway. And I would really, really like to think that even if you kind of hung back and were like, no, I don't know, for me, maybe not. I would like to think that I would have been brave enough to move forward anyway, but I don't even know. It feels like I needed you to believe the same thing, you know? And now that we've been in this experiment and walking this path, and we've been fully committed for a while, like we have gone past the point of no return. We're not just dabbling in experimentation, giving away safety nets, made bold choices. There's like no safety net. We are committed, and I wouldn't have it any other way. And little pieces of my vision are starting to come through. Little pieces of your vision are starting to come through. We've had changes, and like we've actually come so far, and it's not all here yet. You know, we're still having challenges. We're still on the path. We're still in the experiment. But I feel like now nothing could take me back. When you have doubts now, it doesn't sway me. Like I believe it now. We've walked far enough. There's been enough confirmation that now I don't think anything could sway me. Now I know it. Now it's in my bones. Now, if a panel of the most brilliant business abundance minded people sat there and told me why I couldn't have what I wanted, I would just go, oh no, I don't believe you. I know I can. I know I can. I just got to keep going, one foot in front of the other. More pieces will come in. Now I could not be swayed off the belief that even in the realm of vocation, even when the world says, no, no, it has to be this way. This is the way work works. This is the way vocation works. This is the way money works. You can't always have the most aligned, joyful, vision for yourself. It doesn't work that way. I would never believe anyone who told me that. I know it in my bones now. It's such an unexpected revelation for me to have in this life. I really never thought I would think of the realm of vocation as somewhere where I could possibly find any joy, happiness, satisfaction. And the fact that now when I look around me, I see that as possible. Such an unexpected revelation, and it like means so much to me. It's so surprisingly fulfilling. And I really hope that for everyone now. I can't think of much better. Like find a great love of your life, go on the adventures you want, and like, find what you love in vocation. What more could you hope for?
Yeah, and the evidence is here now. It's interesting, like the energy that I feel day over day for the last little while now, as I sit down to do my work for the day, I feel how I want to feel in my vision. Like it's here. We've made such brave choices, new decisions, letting go of things and embracing new things. And like every like step by step by step, I think that's the key on this path. We can only see like 1 to 3 steps in front of us at a time. You can do your best to map out every step of the way, but we don't have all the pieces for every step of the way. It's just one foot in front of the other, like one solid, grounded foot in front of the other, step by step by step. We know what to do. Like you always know what to do next, right in front of you. And it's just taking those steps. I'm appreciating this conversation because it's also inviting us to like stop and look back. You know what? Everything that's changed and everything that's transformed and everything that's transpired over the last year, nothing is the same. Now we're at a place where we're starting to see like the evidence flow into our experience, the fruition of the dream, the fruition of the vision, like the harvest of our hard work is starting to arrive.
The vision that came out of Vocation Incubator for me, so like the vision that I have for vocation, is so precious to me. I love it so much. Everyone who comes through the MRA leaves with a vision of some sort. I've had a life vision and I've been tweaking it and working it for a long time, and I love it. But the vision just for the realm of vocation was new. And that's what anyone who goes through Vocation Incubator walks away with. And it's so special to me. I was reading it this morning. I've been reading it most mornings, and it feels almost like this pearl, this like precious pearl, because like when I read it, it's so beautiful. It actually brings tears to my eyes. It still kind of takes my breath away that something in the realm of vocation could feel that beautiful to me. Like I really didn't imagine there could be that much beauty in the realm of vocation. I just associated such like drudgery, with the word vocation or work before. And I'm like walking the path to it. It's not all here. But when I read it, there's a couple lines that have really fully come true. There's one line, I think I might have told you this before, but one of the lines is, I sit at my beautiful wooden desk and gaze out the window, enchanted by the pleasures of this life I found my place in. And I do that every single day. I live that line every single day. It's actually making me emotional because it's something I envisioned in my mind that felt so beautiful. And even though it seems weird now that I thought that was like hard to get to, because once it's here, you forget how hard it felt to get to, but it felt like, oh, it's out of my reach, or it's over there, or it's going to take a while to get to, which seems silly now, but that is how I felt. And that little piece emerged, it materialized, and every day I get to like touch how beautiful that is. And oh gosh, I don't even know where I was going with all of this, but it's just like once you have your vision, it's like really only half the journey. Like once you know what you want, then you still have to like walk the path to get there. And that's where we are now. We're walking the path to get there. But there's something so inspiring about, I think, just like the uncovering of what your heart and soul and body really yearn for. And I'm so grateful for that. Like I even want to remind myself there was a time if you asked me, what do you want? I would say, oh, I don't know. And there was a time where I would ask the universe that question over and over and over of like, oh, what am I meant to do? What could it look like? Please give me answers. Like I pleaded for answers from the universe very desperately. And so even just realizing that journey of like through this exploration, now I have like a vision, I have those answers. And it's so clear and it's so true and it's so purely me. And when I touch it, I think, oh, I can't imagine anything more beautiful. I have no doubt at all about what my desire is, what my vision is. And I think I forget that that is significant, that I know what I want now. I think I want to remember to be grateful for that. Remember that, like, even having my vision, that was forward movement. Yeah. Now I'm on the leg of walking towards it, right? But I want to remember and kind of like honor how far we've come, even just in that, even just in the naming of what we really want.
I think that there's also incredible magnetic power in the process of getting to your honest, truest, most aligned vision for your life in any realm of your life. We're specifically talking about vocation. When we access what our souls want, not what anyone else around us wants, but like what our souls want, I really believe that's when we like start to access the truly magnetic power of life itself. It's like life yearns for what we most deeply yearn for. And when we uncover what we yearn for, we enhance that power of life trying to move us in that direction. Life is trying to move us in the direction of what we most purely want. And oftentimes when I've written down things or imagined things that I want that were coming from a place other than the deepest part of me, maybe it was coming from my mind, life has unfolded in a way, maybe brought me challenges, maybe brought me redirects, maybe brought me mirrors, not to like knock me off course, but to invite me deeper into myself, like to invite me into those deeper layers to really, really, really sift through what it is I want. So I think that the process of answering that question, the process of putting it on paper in what we call your vocation vision, the process of imagining it and like seeing it and feeling it and embodying it and taking brave steps and choices and actions towards it. There is nothing more powerful in the universe than that. Like that is when life can split oceans and move mountains to bring us to where we're meant to be. Maybe not in the way our brains think or have mapped out every step of the way, but you're tapping into something very, very mighty and very, very powerful and very magnetic when you operate at this depth. Yeah, that'll help you surrender.
Where do you feel like you are on this vocation journey right now?
I've shared with you my goal for what I want, just like from a really pulled back perspective, what I want vocation to feel like. I've shared this with you before, but when I look at the wheel of life, so for anyone who doesn't know what the wheel of life is, you can just Google wheel of life and you'll see all sorts of iterations come up. But the wheel of life is essentially this wheel, and you've got these different sections of different aspects of your life. So, relationship, parenting, if that applies to you, health, wellness, spirituality, abundance, vocation. You can name your own slices of life, whatever's most impactful for you. But I look at certain key areas of the wheel where I have poured enormous amounts of intention and energy into over the course of my life. So, for example, there was a time where I poured enormous intention into the area of relationships, like you, Michelle, where that was my focus. That was where my energy was going. I was healing parts of myself to clean up this key area of my life. There was a time when my kids were really little where motherhood was all my focus and energy and attention was being poured into motherhood and finding myself in that area of life. Another key area that is thriving in my life is family, and like the key relationships in my life. So I look at these certain aspects or these certain key areas of the wheel of life. And there are these certain areas that are just like when I feel into them, they're thriving. The feelings of peace, love, fulfillment pouring onto me, filling me up is how I can describe those key areas. There's not a lot of efforting happening in those areas. I don't have to try to make those areas better. They're just like so healthy and they're overflowing with love and health and fulfillment. I want that with vocation. One day, I want us to have a podcast conversation in a couple of years from now, Michelle, and I want to say, oh, I feel this way in vocation. I don't even have to pour energy, intention, or attention here because all the groundwork that I've done in the years previous have just like cleared this, and I've healed aspects of myself and I've aligned my entire world for this key area to be thriving and healthy in a way that doesn't require constant energy or attention. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
I'm on the journey towards there. I'm not there yet. That is for certain. I am light years away from where I started 1 year ago, like from where I was standing 1 year ago, light years away in terms of growth and progress and evolution. I'm not fully in a position to say it is thriving, it is effortless. It's not there yet. But that's my goal. That's what I want to get to, where it is just overflowing with abundance. And the conscious surrendering, like I feel like I have to consciously loosen my grip right now as I walk towards what it is I want in vocation. And even as things are manifesting and coming into reality, there's moments where I'm completely open and surrendered, and then I'm back into a little bit of a contraction gripping as I walk down the path. I want to get to a place of complete and utter surrender, complete and utter openness, complete and utter fulfillment in this area of my life. And I want to experience that in this lifetime. Like that's a goal. Don't want to bring this or carry this quest into future lifetimes. I want to experience this in this lifetime. That's what I want. And I don't want it to be that far away. I'm on the path towards there. That's where I am.
Okay, so can we tap into the energy of you and I in a year from now? I want to see a year from now. Okay, we're sitting here, we're having a podcast. We are in that place you are describing, just like effortless surrender. We're coming back to say, oh, everyone, by the way, we were right about everything. Every piece of our vision is manifested, it's glorious. What message does that future version of us have for us right now where we're still walking the path?
Oh, the first thing that comes is like the future version of us is so grateful that we stepped on this path to begin with. Like, so grateful that the amount of energy and hours, I can't even quantify the amount of hours and energy we have poured into this inner exploration of vocation and the depths we have allowed ourselves to go on and the way we have prioritized this exploration in our own ways in our lives. I think our future selves are just like, oh, if you didn't do that,
Mm.
we would not be here, you know? Just like where we sit today. And I think back to our past selves 12 months ago. Like, I'm so grateful for the past Michelle who was like, couldn't rest, couldn't sit still, couldn't like fathom status quo any longer. Cause I probably would have been happy in status quo for a lot longer than you would have been, you know?
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for my past self for being open enough to listen and to be invited on this journey. And it's like for walking the path, even during times where, oh, geez, like sometimes the path is covered in such thick fog that you can't see anything in front of you, but you just have one solid next step in front of you. That's it.
Mm.
You know, those are scary times to navigate. So I think our future selves are just very, very grateful for our courage and like devotion to walking this path.
So I like wholeheartedly agree everything you're saying. Like, yes, that's what my future self is saying too. And you know what I am so, I don't know if it's grateful for or just happy that it's true, is like sometimes when I hear people say, it was so much work to get where I am now. I used to always think about it as like a lot of like external work, like external doing. That's what my brain kind of did. And that seemed heavy and tiring. And the type of work you're talking about and the type of work we've done and the type of like devotion we've had to this exploration, it's a type of work that feels so nourishing to me. Like it can be incredibly challenging to prioritize my inner work, focus on my inner work. Gosh, it's really challenging sometimes to stand in the belief that exploring my inner world is the most powerful thing and it deserves time and space and energy and, devotion. That can be really challenging. And then to continue to show up to my inner world and all of these explorations, continue to show up devoted to what's inside me and what wants to be uncovered. That is work, but it's a kind that I love so much. And I am so happy that it seems to me to be true that that's the most powerful type of work to get where you want to go. Sure, there's things that you have to do, especially you. Like, I mean, you have a lot of outward pieces of work. Oh my gosh, you have like lots to do. But the type of work that actually set all of this in motion was like the work of exploring ourselves. It's the inner work. And that makes me so happy that that's true. Because sure, sometimes it's challenging to prioritize it, sit there, create the container, or like, get yourself into a container to explore and hold space for the exploration. But once I'm there, like nothing feels better. It's the kind of work that like feeds me at the same time. I love this work. I love it. And I don't know why I feel like that's such a hopeful thing that that's what's true. It's not some sort of painful, shallow work you have to do to make you move forward. It's the opposite. It feels so hopeful that the work that we've really had to do to get us to where we are now is like the work of attuning to ourselves and naming what's true. And part of that work involves the relief of letting go of things that were masking us, constraining us, chaining us. Like that feels so good. The work actually feels so good. And I don't know why, but that makes me feel so hopeful.
Yeah. Doing the inner work first and then taking aligned steps next aligned choices, aligned steps, aligned actions. That is the most direct route to where you want to go. Anything else is like spinning your wheels and expending inefficient energy. I'm all about the efficiencies. This is the most efficient path to get to where you want to be. It's the inner work first, the alignment first, the feeling through your emotions first, the getting clarity first, and then get your marching orders from your wisdom. And then you take aligned steps forward, one by one by one, towards where it is you want to go.
You want to know some of the things that I'm so relieved I've reconciled in myself in the realm of vocation? I used to always be in a bit of a struggle with compromise versus like alignment. And I used to always worry, like, especially in the realm of vocation, that like sometimes compromise is the responsible thing to do. And I've like fully reconciled for myself that I don't need to compromise. And it actually takes me the wrong direction. The more I compromise my alignment, the longer it takes me to get to the fulfillment and success I want in vocation. I am so pleased that I've released myself of that belief of sometimes you might have to compromise. I don't believe it anymore. That feels really good. Another one of my favorite takeaways from this whole exploration is there were so many little moments throughout my life of imagining something or watching a movie or meeting a person where they seemed to live a life that to me seemed like, oh, too good to be true. Oh, it's like a fairy tale. Oh, I could never have that. And the things that seemed too good to be true in those other people's lives, whether they're real or characters in a movie, those were little clues of things that I really wanted to be able to be true for me. And now I know that those are clues from my soul as opposed to something that I would dismiss. I always dismissed that before as something that looked shiny, but I could never have. And that's something I've released. Now I see all of those qualities that I wanted for myself as the things I know I'm really meant to move towards, which feels so good. Feels so lovely to think, oh, that's what I'm walking towards. That's going to be nice. It's going to make me really happy. I really want this. Yeah. That feels really good to have taken away. I feel a lot of relief in what I'm taking away from this exploration, to be honest. I had a lot of stories that made me feel really bad. And this exploration of vocation really helped clear away the stories that felt bad. And I feel a lot of relief. And another one of those places is that there gets to be agreement between my body, my heart, my mind, my soul, like all of those things on the right path and doing the work that's really meant for me. All the parts of me agree. I'm not torn. Feels good to all of me. There's like a real theme of, I've expressed it in like compromise versus alignment, but I've had this real theme of being torn and almost assuming it was natural to be torn. Like, you know, when people say, do you follow your mind or your heart? It seemed like, yeah, sometimes that's just the way life is. You're torn and you don't know which way to go. And I've released that now and think, no, I get to have all of me completely firmly agree. That feels really good and like a relief because it's so much energy to feel torn. If you're really torn, if your mind and body and heart are torn in different directions, some part of you is working hard to compensate or to keep going. And it's such a relief to release that. The last thing I'm most grateful taking away, which is also a relief, and I have already said it, but just the relief to know the answer to the question of what do I want in the realm of vocation. I know the answer. Oh, that's a relief.
I'll build off what you just said as the thing I'm most grateful for. It's fascinating because I built the vocation of my dreams. I did it. I did it years ago. I did it. I built the vocation beyond my wildest dreams. And in the vocation, something over the last little while, something inside of me was wanting to grow and evolve and change. But yet my mind stayed very fixated on what I had built. Like this thing I had built, the MRA, could not grow and change and evolve with me. There was like this disconnect. I couldn't conceive of what that looked like. In fact, what it felt like was, oh, no, no, no. I can't keep growing and changing and evolving or wanting something different, because that would actually compromise the beautiful thing that we've built in the MRA. And I love this thing we've built more than the need to grow and evolve and change. That's kind of the friction I was inside of. And for the last couple years, if you asked me what my vocation vision was, because again, it had come to fruition, it's almost like it plateaued there. And I couldn't access a vision greater than this. My mind couldn't access it because I couldn't fathom what the next vision was that was truly in alignment with what I wanted. So the vision plateaued. And as I'm growing and evolving and changing, like despite my best efforts to stay put, whenever I would touch the vision, it wouldn't bring the same level of like joy and alignment and satisfaction than a vision truly in alignment with where it is that you want to go. And so for a long time, I just couldn't access it. I couldn't access the vision that made me magnetically want to move towards something like you were describing earlier. And this exploration and going inward to explore all of the old paradigms inside of me that were actually constricting my view of what was possible for my life and for vocation, it shattered that plateau. Like it shattered the ceiling that I had created and opened me up to new possibilities, to a new vision that feels so crystal clear. It feels so crystal clear that I'm a little bit like dumbfounded how I couldn't see it before. It's not like it's anything wildly different, but it's just that it's almost like we get stuck in these paradigms of thought of what is possible for our life. I didn't have a model for what this next vision looked like for life. And so because there's no model of what it looks like outside of me in the world, I had to really dig deep inside of me to break down old paradigms of belief, examine them, and then sit in a really uncomfortable time in the question of, well, if not that, then what? And then allow these new possibilities to build up in my mind until the vision, step by step, exploration through exploration, day by day, started to get clearer and clearer and clearer and clearer and clearer, until it was like this beautiful, clear vision of what it is I truly yearn for. And having that, moving towards that day after day, step after step, choice after choice, makes me feel alive. It makes me feel aligned with life and with my purpose and with my expression. It makes me feel like I'm co-creating, not only with you, but co-creating with something far greater than both of us combined. It's like tapping into the creative energy of life. It's like, oh, this is like what it's all about. I love this creative energy. And it's plugged me back into that. And I know I've created from this place before. I know I can do it again. And it's just brought life back into the path I'm on towards the clearest vision of what it is I want to experience in this lifetime for vocation.
Something you said is reminding me of, I forget the exact quote, but the Glennon Doyle quote that we've quoted before. And in it says something like, I've stopped asking people for directions to somewhere they've never been. Your own life is this unique experiment destination. Nobody's ever been there. So like nobody else knows the way. I think I was reminded of that because, when you were saying there was no blueprint for what you wanted in the world around you. Like you couldn't see it. The only way, the only way for you to get to this place, get to this new vision, see this new vision that now you can see crystal clear, was to discover it inside yourself, because the blueprint doesn't exist out there. No one's ever attempted to create this vision, this life that you are creating and have created. I think that sense of aliveness you're talking about in doing that, when I think about it, when I hear you say it, it makes me like want to sit up taller. And I'm like, oh yeah, that feeling of aliveness, of like co-creating your own life, of remembering that you don't just have to stick with the blueprints around you. You can create your own blueprint to a place that's never been before. You can create a vocation that's never existed before. And I think that's why we needed to do this. I think that's why in our souls we're like, we need to create this exploration for ourselves because we are yearning to really create something that's a fit for us. Because you can't, when you look around in the world and you don't see the option that is, maybe some people do. Maybe some people go, oh yes, that's the blueprint for me. And I just like learn that and I'll adopt that. That's like so wonderful. I am so envious. My whole life I've been envious of people who just knew exactly what they wanted to do.
I know.
But this, I guess, remembering that we aren't bound by what already exists, but we are living, breathing beings who do get to create and co-create with the universe. So these new blueprints we want to create, these new types of lives and vocations we want to create, that's possible. That really is such a feeling of aliveness. It really is such a feeling of aliveness. It feels so good. Oh my gosh, I'm just coming back to what you said about how our future selves are going to be so grateful for us. I think that is what my future self will be most grateful for, is us remembering, wait a minute, we get to write the story. It doesn't have to already exist. We get to create something new. And that's really what I needed. Because the vision and the blueprint that came out of this exploration, when I look at it, sometimes I laugh. I'm like, oh yeah, this is not an option when you're in high school to check this box and this is what you want to do, right? This doesn't exist on any list. But this is what I really needed. Nothing in the entire world could have satisfied me in the realm of vocation other than the thing that came purely from me. And it feels so good. Oh my gosh, I'm so grateful. Even if, say for some reason, disaster strikes, next time people hear from us, we're like, no, we've,
Abort.
something failed, whatever. This feeling of clarity and certainty of at least knowing what I want, that's worth it. Even if I fail, I don't want to fail. I want more and more success and abundance to come. But even just the feeling of being able to stand really firmly and say, this is what I want. And even if for some reason I don't make it there, which I don't think is going to happen, but say my vision doesn't fully come to life, I think I can honestly say that standing here and knowing my desires and deciding to go for them is even just worth it, for this feeling now of I'm going to take a chance on what my heart wants, just like in love. It's I might be asking or wanting too much in a relationship. Maybe I can't have that. Maybe that's unrealistic. I'm asking for too much. But deciding to just acknowledge and honor what my heart wants and just be a stand for that and say no to everything else. That's a very similar feeling to the feeling I have now of you know what? Maybe I won't get it, but I'm going to try. I'm going to try for the thing I want the most. Because if you don't try for the thing that you actually want the most, you certainly will never get it. That's where I would say that we are right now. I'm going to speak for you too. We're in the process of really trying for the thing we want the absolute most.
Yeah. And this energy, I want this for everyone who, when they tap into the key area of life of vocation, when they tap into that and they're like, meh, I'm a 70, or I'm a 30, or meh, you could be at a place where you're oh God, I know this key area of my life is so out of alignment, or even just well, it's good enough. Both is not good enough, I really, really believe that each of us can experience so much alignment, joy, satisfaction here if our attention and energy gets directed into this area for a dedicated amount of time to really, really give every little corner the exploration it deserves. I want that for everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being part of this conversation. To learn more about the Mind Rebel Academy, our coach and leadership trainings, as well as our self-development programs, please visit us at www.themindrebel.com.